at a bus stop with a shirt down, feeling like a lame. Leaving people looking at me like I'm easy prey. But I've been an outlaw all my life, and now trying to become a citizen. That was kind of hard. As God saw fit, I was able to complete the GED, go back to school, became a certified drug abuse counselor. Then I went back and got an associate's degree in mental health and substance abuse. I started working as a drug counselor, worked my way up and became the clinical coordinator of the program for ex-offenders. I went back to school and got a bachelor's degree in inner city studies. Then I became the director of the program. Then I did some traveling in Africa. I worked with social workers in Africa on how you help people transition from prison back into the community. Then the keynote at the missionary conference in Texas, all the judges talked about how you transition from prison treatment back into the community. And I went back to school and I got a master's degree in leadership education. And so today I'm a community leader out of all the prisons. My work with these as transition from prison back into the community. And as a result, I ended up supporting my own non-profit, National Alliance for the Gospel of the Holy Gospel. And the university I got my master's degree, I guess, seen something in Cincinnati, I really there I'm a professor at Northeastern Illinois University. I'd like the little brother asked the question, what the most painful thing that you struggled with? Here about 10 years ago, my little nephew, who was 8 years old, on my mother's porch on the west side. He was the oldest out of 6 kids that was on that porch. Because of my older nephew's gang affiliation, my position comes to exactly to kill my little nephew from my mama. Shot me in the head. The hardest thing I had to deal with was going in that room for my sister to give her last words to my 8-year-old nephew. She asked me to go in there with her. Coming out of that, brother advised me and said, hey, maybe we can deal with this. But the guy that shot my nephew in the head was a member of the same street gang that I started years ago. So that tug of war between should I go and try to and revenge my family, So the Lord going to jail, you got to minimize the possibility of getting arrested. The third thing I offer you, if you really want to graduate out of high school, you better stay drug free. You ain't going nowhere high. So what is a high? Is when you take a drug in your system, it destroys how you think, and it damages your brain, and it damages that part of the brain that functions and causes the process of information, it destroys all. That's what a high is. And when the drug grab you back in your home state. So I would suggest you stay alive, stay out of jail, and stay drug free. You can master that, you're well on your way, because I did all that penitentiary, got high. And I ain't gonna tell you that because some of y'all probably watch Gangland and see my face on Gangland. Some of y'all probably watch American Gangster and see me on American Gangster. I was a jailhouse, I was a gang chief for real. For real. And that ain't nothing to brag about. And I was only that because I didn't have the courage, like a lot of brothers in my neighborhood, to tell guys, man, they ain't gonna get involved with me. I didn't have the courage to tell brothers, no, man, I don't want to get out. I didn't have the courage when I was in the state to tell guys, no, I ain't with that. That ain't nothing to brag about. Being part of gangs and all that, that ain't awesome joining gangs. Mob, hooks, join gangs and get happy. You get pulled into somebody else's agenda. Being a gang, it ain't nothing to brag about. There's something I did, but some I'm steady living with today. It's been 30 years since I've been locked up. But I can't even walk in the wall and get a job. They send them ridiculous stuff. It's over. I do some license and I can't get it. I decide to open my own business. Because I'm a ridiculous stuff. So y'all in the right place. In this auditorium, get some information. The only way this is going to work, you got to have the courage. Tell your homeboy, oh man, ain't with you. Steve, trying to focus on see. Ain't nobody to go say. Thank you.
My name is Mr. Brunson, Pastor King, Road, most of the My question for most of you is, how exactly would you deal with losing someone? Like someone that was your best buddy or just someone that you knew, that you was cool with, but did show you criminal. How exactly would you deal with that grief of losing someone close to you or all your friends?
I want to ask, because I've been in that situation, kind of in that situation with this whole coming. So I lost two best friends, didn't tell you, one died from pneumonia, and he did everything right. He was a kid, never got in the game, never did anything, ended up with a job, a radio station, after had his degree, and he died. And then I had another best friend that was a machine, and that's kind of helped pull me into it, and into the mob. But this guy died too while we were young. Recently, I lost a very close best friend, which is my older cousin. He was murdered in this neighborhood too, with 2 young men. But you have to keep moving forward, and you have to take what they meant to you and let that propel you forward and inspire you. So in other words, when you run in your race, sometimes you're not just running your race solely for you. You running that race for more than you. And I think it was Mr. Cherry said it best. You know, some of the things he was doing, Mr. Junior said, they're doing for their children. You know, and so it's the same way with friends and loved ones that you do. When you keep moving, you got to keep it in mind because you're doing it for more than you now. You're carrying on the memory of that person. So a lot of times when I'm ready to quit, I always remember about my best friend, Melvin Smith, that got killed. He always used to say to me in high school, man, when I tell you, I'm glad at least one of my friends doing something. I I was a nerd at age leaving school, and everybody else was that. So whenever I'm ready to quit, sometimes walking this straight down is hard for me. Like Benny B said, being extended is hard to do. If it's done, I have to remember that that brother said it a long time ago. At least one of my friends is doing something. So that inspires me to keep pushing forward.
Let me answer that too, brother. There's some information that you all need because you're dealing with some times that the black community at least has not seen for a very long time. You guys are dealing with death at an astronomical rate at your age. You guys are dealing with death like they deal with in Afghanistan and Iraq. So you need to know exactly how to deal with that because the possibility and probability of you dealing with that at your age right now is a lot higher than I believe any of us that are up here, aside from the gentlemen who were a part of that lifestyle. You have to develop what I call healthy coping mechanisms. A lot of times in the black community, we as men are not told or trained or taught that it's okay to talk about our problems. So we internalize our hurt. We internalize our pain because you're a punk or you soft if you cry. You're a punk or you're soft if you get emotional. So instead of dealing with those emotions the way most men deal with them, we deal with them in a negative way. So I'm going to get mad or upset at the world when somebody who was doing everything right in my life got shot or killed and it doesn't seem like they deserved it. But since I don't know how to cope with that, I'm going to possibly put myself in a situation that's worse. So the first thing I would advise is when that happens, because it happens to us too. I deal with death on a daily basis. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do is sit there and watch someone die in Eaglewood knowing I couldn't save their life and the ambulance wasn't coming fast enough. And the brother was 16 years old. And he had to bleed out right there while I'm trying to do everything I can to stop the bleeding, and there was nothing I could do, blood everywhere. So we deal with death as men, and you guys are going to deal with death as young men, but I got to figure out a way to cope with that healthfully so that it doesn't become a part of me or take me under too. When you lose someone that's close to you, whether they're a part of that life or not, you have to determine in yourself which direction you're going and what is in that for you. Life is about lessons. Everything that we experience is a teaching tool. If we are looking for the lesson within that we go through. If not, then you're not going to learn and the situation comes up again and you're going to repeat it or make the wrong decision. Okay? So what is it that I'm going to learn? What am I going to remember about this person, good or bad, that's going to cause me, like the young brother was saying, to push forward, to honor his life? If I really cared about this person and they were really close to me, I'm going to do something more than just pour out a little liquor. I'm going to live a life that's going to be worthy of maybe some of the things that they talked about and will never be able to achieve. I'm going to strive for those things. I'm going to change and stop walking the walk that possibly they were walking that got them caught up. Now here's a truth in life, gentlemen. We're all going to die. Here's a truth in life. Some of you, Lord willing, I pray that you all live to see a long life. Some of you all just may not by natural causes. We don't know. Death is a part of life. So you're going to deal with it. Period. You're going to deal with death. The question is, are we dealing with foolish, preventable death? Or are we dealing with the natural causes and progression of life? Right? See, I'm not upset when a young sister dies because she had pneumonia or cancer. I can understand that. But I'm upset and hurt and crying on my knees to God when a young sister trying to go to school gets shot. That was preventable. God had nothing to do with that. Somebody made a decision to go get a gun that couldn't shoot, that wasn't man enough to walk to their target and killed an innocent bystander. How do you deal with that anger of the young innocent 6-month-old baby that gets killed, getting their diaper changed and sitting on the porch? You got to figure out a healthy way to cope. So you got to deal with your mentors. You got to deal with your parents. Have open lines of communication with your caregivers so you can express these emotions and feelings and get them out of you. Because guess what? One of the greatest killers of African American men my age is stress. I could be standing here looking as healthy as a fig and not wake up in the morning because of things I've internalized that are going to manifest themselves physically in my life. So while it may seem like I'm coping, if I'm not coping healthily, it's going to kill me. It's gonna take me out of here. You've got to avail yourself to every positive influence in your life. Whether it's a teacher, whether it's a coach, whether it's your grandparents, whether it's a mentor. And you have to determine at this age how you're going to express those inconveniences and disappointments of your life, because they're coming. They're coming. It would take a whole nother day for us brothers up here to sit up here and tell you about the disappointments in life. The things that we thought we did right that didn't go right. Life is hard. Regardless of what you do, whether you go to prison or you don't, life is hard. The ones that succeed in life are those who can cope. The ones who can cope, the ones who have developed the survival skills, the positive survival skills, to know how to talk about these issues and get them out and get the help you need. There's nothing punk about going to see a shrink if you need to. There's nothing punk about talking to your religious elders or leaders if you need to. Because that's going to get you to the next level. That's going to help you process those thoughts that at your age you don't know what to do with. And society and your mans and them and everybody else is telling you to just possibly deal with it negatively. The grown-ups that have been there are going to tell you, slow that up, shorty. You can go that route if you want to, but there's worse things in this life than death. There's worse things in this life than death. And if you make that decision, you may avail yourself to something worse than your man's got. All right? So make sure that you're always developing within yourselves when you're looking in the mirror, when you're talking to yourself, when you're home alone, and you're dealing with decisions and stuff. What are you thinking? How am I processing this? Very important stuff. Because what you think is probably what you manifest and do, and then the ball is rolling. Then it's out of your control. So if you can get your thinking right, get your core group of support right, and have somebody in your life that you trust, that you know cares for you and is telling you the right thing that you can rely upon, they should be able to guide you through.
My last question is about violence. Like, how is that issue stop it if violence keeps finding its way towards you, even though you're a peaceful person? They say because it pacifist nature. But how come violence always finds a way to get on you or just be around you when you're constantly raised around violence? What does that mean to do with an individual? To stop the violence, to stop people down, especially innocent babies that are over 6 months. I mean, it's messed up. I heard on news about that. So, is that ignorant enough to represent us in that way? That isn't fair to any of us as individuals, because who asks us to be represented in that other way, to be KO, or we're not good. That isn't fair to no one. But that's my question. How's that just told the violence arrest? How do I basically try to separate myself from that?
Let me challenge you something real quick, bro. The only thing that you can do to stop the violence in the neighborhood is not be a part of it. Once again, you have to know how to cope when those people come towards you or you see a situation happening in your neighborhood. Now watch this, there's no one-size-fits-all for that. I'll be sitting here lying to tell you, and anybody up here will lie and tell you that when bullets start flying, this is what you're going to do. I'm a law enforcement officer, I got a clock right here. Bullets start flying, my training may kick in, it may not. Okay, so I can't tell you every time what I'm going to do when faced with a certain situation. But what you gotta practice is what I call your script. Okay? When you feel certain things or you see certain things, you as an individual have to develop these survival tools. And it's gonna be different for all of you. Depending on where you live, what your environment is, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Okay? You also have to determine to be leaders and not to be the propitiator or the protagonist of that violence. And it doesn't necessarily have to be gun violence. It could be fighting. It could be verbal abuse. Okay? There's more to violence than just killing folks. You can kill folks spiritually. You can kill folks morally. You gotta watch the words that come out of your mouth. How you conduct, like the brother was saying. How you respect yourself. Because if you respect yourself, you'll respect your peers. A lot of times it's not funny if you know your man don't have a lot of money in his family and mama's on crack to joke about that. Okay, that's where it begins. Hurt people. So you've got to develop in yourself the type of leadership, coping skills and all that stuff to avoid it, even when it presents itself in front of you. I tell people all the time, I carry a gun, but I will run from you rather than take your life if that's possible. Now don't get it wrong, I shoot 100% with both hands, I will kill you. and go sit down and have a cup of coffee and think nothing about it because I know if I have to kill you, you deserve to die. I'm not going to let you kill me over no foolishness. But I will run, I will do everything I can, jump through a window to stop from having to do that. Now that's the way I've trained myself. Alright? You've got to figure out a way to train yourself. And you've got to sit down and rehearse scenarios that are coming up in your life and say, what's the most healthy, positive way for me to deal with this, short of hurting somebody or going to jail? What is it that I've been given to cope with this so that when the situations keep coming my way, I can deal with that. You take those situations that you're presented with and deal with your immediate caregiver, your immediate religious person, elder, whoever, and say, look, this is what I'm dealing with. Maybe we need to get you in another environment. Maybe there are some things outside of your control as a young person. But see, if you don't communicate that type of stuff, we wouldn't know. Sounds like you're dealing with some form of bullying. But if you don't communicate that with some people, we wouldn't know. So you have to let us know as adults how we can help you. There's a lot of things we can do if we know. But if you're internalizing it once again and trying to figure out at your young age how to cope with stuff that's a little bit above you, then you're going to make the wrong decisions possibly. Then you're in trouble. So I would try my best to make those decisions for yourself with your caregivers, with those people that are in your life every day. Might be a teacher you can confide in, a coach. Look, this is what I'm dealing with. I need some help. They can tell you based upon all those scenarios being put together in your environment, the best decision for you. I can't tell you. I don't know where you live. I don't know who's in your house. I don't know where you go to school. But there are people that know everything about you a little bit more. Those are the ones that have been given to you, your angels, to help guide you through life.
And this is really quick. One of the brothers, he said when he was in school, he said to himself, he dropped out. He said, what am I going to do? Because he realized how much structure school had to offer. The other thing is about structure. One of my sons, when he had 5 or 10 minutes to think independently, he made that decision. So what we did was provide him with structure. And that meant that every day when he got up, what was he going to do? Meaning, where am I going to go? I always say, if I ask where you're going, you should never tell me you don't know. Without destination and purpose, you should just be still. You should never tell me you don't know where you're going. So if I say where you're going, what you're doing, you should have an answer to me. Otherwise, just be still. But with structure, it's very important that you do these things on your own. When I wake up, I'm going to have breakfast. If I'm going to watch a program, that's what I'm going to do after that program. If I'm going here, this is where I'm going into school. If there's extracurricular activities you can get at school, get them. If not, come to CYC, get home. And then when I leave here, what am I doing? My path will be to home, and at that time, what am I going to do? It's very important that you understand and establish structure. Because it's like you said, if you're in this school, you got what am I going to do? Same thing with your Saturdays and your Sundays. My sons used to ask if they could go outside. What are you doing for what? Where are you going? What are you doing? The other thing is, they have a curfew. Being by 10. Why? Well, what are you doing? Most negative stuff happens after that particular time. So why are you out there? If you don't have destination and purpose, you understand how you need to provide structure. You need to provide structure. If you don't know, get your mentor, get your teacher, get your mother, get your father, and write it down. A structured day, I promise you, if you have structure, you got less time to do things that may take you in the wrong direction because you write them down. You're not going to write, I'm going to go over here and drink 40, I'm going to go out, I drink 40, we're going to go over here and bust out. That's not the time. You're going to write down things that you can do that's going to give you some positive results. So structure those times we don't have a lot of time to think independently, but got to get back.
Why do they do that? I hate to keep standing up, but y'all keep coming down my lane with this stuff. Benny Lee can talk to this too. You guys are way too young, and I'm not sure how much your parents have told you about the history of your people in this country. All right? There's a young lady by the name of Michelle Alexander who has a book out now called The New Jim Crow. You have to understand that we were bought and legally sold in this country for some period of time. There's always been a plan for the black man in this country, and it was never to participate in forums and sit where you all are sitting right now. That's not the purpose that we were bought here. Now you have to understand that throughout that time there has been a proliferation and an attempt to bring us back to that initial purpose all throughout our history. And don't be deceived, it is still going on today. So when you ask why do we have drugs in our community when we can't even have jobs and we can't even have decent schools, why do we have a proliferation of gun violence in the black community? Now there's always this thing called choice, young bro. I don't have to take the drugs because they're presented to me. I don't have to use the guns because they're available to me. But 9 times out of 10, when you've been denied, legally denied, in a culture that is set up on having things as a part of being a man, when you've been denied a job by no fault of your own aside from your skin color, regardless of your education, regardless of your qualifications, and you have to eat in a culture where you see other people eating, you're going to sometimes succumb to those things that are left available for you to be able to eat, right? A lot of your people, a lot of kids your age do things with drugs and guns to have things that they feel they should have at their age that they shouldn't have, okay? But the reality of it is that we live in a system that was from the beginning set up for people that look like you and I not to partake in having anything, but to provide for those who do have. In Michelle Alexander's book, she teaches us how, or tells us how, that situation has changed from legalized, institutionalized slavery to the penal system. It's called the New Jim Crow. You guys should really Google it. If you're not, we're going to read the book probably, but if you can, read it. Look at the YouTube interview so you can see now the plan that's been set up through the influxuation of drugs into our communities and drugs and guns, none of which you can get. You can't make no cocaine.